So the Chiefs just beat down the 49ers in their own stadium and basically put the game out of reach midway through the third quarter, even though it got a bit dicey there for a bit. And while a win is a win, this W didn't come without its losses, because the Chiefs might have lost another key starter for the season, with yet another starter further aggravating an injury that'll put him out for an unknown amount of time. So let's dive into it as I look at this impressive win over San Francisco. But first, how about those? Well, what a game this was. You always love a decisive victory against a quality team, and that is exactly what this was. San Francisco started with the ball after the Chiefs won the toss and deferred per usual, but George Karlaftis got to Purdy on 2nd and long due to a holding penalty that the 49ers couldn't overcome. Meanwhile, the Chiefs got a nice 3rd down conversion with this quick pass to Mecole Hardman for 17 yards, and man, did Mecole have himself a great game in this one. We'll dive into that more here in a bit, because sometime around then, Juju Smith-Schuster, who was questionable to play with a hamstring issue that popped up last week during practice, fell while running his route, walked gingerly off the field, and never returned. That was near the beginning of the game, which sucked and didn't help with the confidence level of the wide receiver room, because Juju is kind of the go-to guy, right? You have Worthy, who Mahomes did target 8 times as they attempted to get him more involved. You got Jaylen Watson, who had just 1 catch for 8 yards after playing 50 snaps on offense yesterday. And then you had Mecole Hardman and Skyy Moore. Woo. Anyway, the Chiefs ended up running a fake punt on 4th and 1, and Jaden Hicks went absolutely nowhere, resulting in an unfortunate turnover on downs. Have no fear, though, because literally the very next play, safety Justin Reid read the eyes of Brock Purdy like a freaking book, picking him off as they attempted a bootleg that failed, giving the ball right back to Mahomes and company right around the similar yard line. Now, Noah Gray, who had a career day catching 4 passes for 66 yards, got involved on the next play for 26. Gray was a guy I thought might get some opportunities with the wide receiver room banged up, and Kelsey getting so much attention. And boy, oh boy, did Gray capitalize on his opportunities yesterday. Mahomes used his legs to move the chains here, but then the INT woes continue as defensive lineman Kalia Davis not only tipped this pass that was intended for Jody Fortson, he tipped it up into the air, then caught the batted up pass himself. Don't get me wrong, Mahomes has had some bad interceptions that he's thrown this season, but all you can really do is tip your cap to Davis here for making such an incredible play. So just after 7 minutes in the first quarter, there was a failed fake punt and an INT thrown by both quarterbacks, and this is how you knew this game was going to be a rather interesting one. And after trading INTs, the teams then proceeded to trade 3 and outs as the Chiefs' run defense stonewalled Jordan Mason on 2nd and 1, as well as 3rd and 1 to force the punt. The run defense this year has been lights out, one of the best in the entire league, and it's helping the defense out tremendously. Malik Mustafa then walloped Kareem Hunt, and a Leonard Floyd sack led to KC's 3 and out. Kelsey was open for the quick first down on this one, but I think Mahomes was looking Skyy Moore's way, and pressure got the best of him on that one. A pass interference on Justin Reid happened next. He did not like that one bit, but it moved the 49ers up past midfield. Nick Bolton then batted this pass up, couldn't haul it in, but he did bat it up, and the stout run defense held San Francisco to a 55-yard field goal. Anders Carlson drilled that kick, which was nice for the Niners because he's actually their 3rd kicker in 3 weeks due to injuries. So as a team there, you probably would like some consistency, and he did not let them down, at least on that play. Back-to-back Noah Gray plays then followed. Then Mecole Hardman had a 20-yard jet sweep, and he zoomed up the sideline, helping bring Kansas City into the red zone, a place where KC has struggled this year, ranking 29th in the NFL at scoring touchdowns inside the 20 heading into this game. Well, one thing that's hurt KC when down there has been penalties creating deficits that are too hard to overcome. But on this series, the 49ers drew multiple flags down there to help move the Chiefs up, and that set up this wild play that only Andy Reid probably drew up on vacation, but only Andy Reid could draw up something like this. You had 4 players in the backfield. From left to right, it was Kareem Hunt, Travis Kelce, Patrick Mahomes, and Carson Wentz, all 4 of them in a 3-point stance. Well, Wentz caught the snap, with Kelce leading the charge, and Hunt got the handoff to bring them to the 1. Kareem then finished the job on the very next play thanks to nice blocking by Tooney, Kelsey, and Gray to bring the Chiefs up 7-3. Chris Jones batted down this pass on second down, and Brandon Aiyuk dropped a would-be first down, a wide-open pass, so a costly error there to force a 3-and-out, to which Mecole Hardman turned on the Jets up the left sideline for a 55-yard return. God bless America. The 49ers special teams unit has given up so many yards on both punts and kicks this season, and that continued for them yesterday on one of Mecole's longest returns of his entire career. That brought KC all the way up to the 30-yard line, and a touchdown on this drive would do wonders. Well, on 3rd and 5, Mahomes does what Mahomes does in crucial situations, moving up in the pocket and shoveling a pass to Worthy for the first down. Worthy then got the ball on the very next play on an end around, and he got leveled by Mufasa. No, that's Lion King, Mustafa, who notably had his second huge hit of the game. This actually led to Worthy getting looked at by the training staff on the sideline, and I was starting to sweat a bit because the wide receiver room is thin enough as it is with no juju. Worthy thankfully returned a bit later, so whatever the issue was, he was able to play through it. We'll have to see what the injury report reveals, if anything at all, this week. But while this was going on, Worthy getting looked at, Kareem Hunt kept getting fed, making an incredible juke on a short pass that turned a loss of several into a first down on 3rd and 3. This is yet another example of Hunt's elite ability to force missed tackles. They gave him the ball again on the next play, to which he forced his way in for yet another rushing touchdown, his second of the day and his third of the season. 14-3 is something you love to see against the Niners. Purdy then found Kittle for 22 yards on this play here, and believe it or not, this was the first down for the Niners offense outside of that Justin Reid penalty earlier. The Chiefs defense was really having their way in this game. Sure, Purdy was without Jawan Jennings, who was ruled out. They have no CMC. That's been all season. Then Deebo Samuel barely played due to sickness, but Mahomes is also without weapons, and you've just got to find a way to make it happen. Well, George Karlaftis refused to let that happen on this play, blowing right by a double team to get home. An incredible play there by GK to help force a punt after an incompletion to Aiyuk. Mahomes then threw across his body to Kelsey for a short first down, but a few plays later, Nick Bosa completely blew up this 3rd and 8 that gave the Niners another chance at getting some points before the half. McDuffie was flagged for PI, then Justin Reid got beaten coverage by Kittle screaming up the left sideline for a 41-yard bomb of a completion. And this is where disaster struck, though, for San Francisco a couple plays later when Aiyuk caught this pass to move them up near the 10-yard line, but he got lit up by safety Chamari Connor, and he did not get up after this hit. At first, I thought he took, a shot to the ribs or something and was just gasping for breath, maybe wind knocked out of him, but the replay showed his knee hyperextending very awkwardly on that hit, kind of in similar fashion to Rashee Rice and his knee. And while Aiyuk was able to get up and walk off the field, he was eventually carted off to the locker room and ruled out for the rest of the game. And the fear, per Ian Rappaport last night, is that Aiyuk tore his ACL, which is yet another tough break for the Niners, who have been without CMC, along with several other key players. Anyway, this is where the Chiefs' defense may have bent, allowing the 49ers to get into the red zone, but they did not break. They stopped a Mason run on 3rd down near the 5-yard line, and with the 49ers out of timeouts, they actually had to rush their special teams unit to kick a field goal before the half expired, and they did walk away with 3, and this brought the score 6-14. And the craziness of this game was just beginning. Not only did the game get close and a bit stressful there for a bit, but KC lost a key starter, possibly for the season, in the second half of this game. And then we had another unfortunate drop from a player that we must also talk about. So I've got to dive into all that and much more. But before I get into all that, if you want to make your nutrition goals easier than ever by having fresh, never frozen, dietitian-approved meals that are actually delicious shipped right to your doorstep, then look no further than to today's sponsor, Factor. Factor delivers chef-prepared meals to you that can be ready to eat in just 2 minutes. These meals, by the way, are perfect lunches for my busy lifestyle, allowing me to spend less time on food prep and more time making content. Plus, there's plenty of options to choose from to fit your lifestyle. Gourmet Plus, Keto, Calorie Smart, Vegan and Veggie, with over 35 wholesome meals every week. They also have over 60 weekly add-ons, from breakfast to smoothies and even these fire protein shakes. The cold brew latte has both protein and caffeine, which is perfect for me late in the afternoon once I have one of their keto meals. I typically eat pretty low carb personally, so These meals have been great, and the Tex-Mex Beef Bowl is still my favorite by far, but the Peruvian-style chicken and Romano shredded chicken were right up there as well. I've used Factor for over a year now and have never been disappointed, and if you want to enjoy great meals like these and save time on grocery trips, head to factor75.com or click the link below and use code HBTC50 to get 50% off your first Factor box and 20% off your next month of orders. That's code HBTC at factor75.com to get 50% off your first box plus 20% off your next month of orders. Now, something that made me lose my appetite completely was another interception that took place for the Chiefs to start the second half. Before that happened, though, Mahomes did target Worthy 50-plus yards downfield for what could have been a walk-in touchdown, but he actually just barely overthrew him. Deep balls are not easy to connect on, but they were very close to a deep strike. And I imagine more shots like this will be taken as the season rolls along, and I fully expect some of them to connect as time goes on. 2 plays later, though, Mahomes targeted Worthy on 3rd and 8, and he actually slipped and fell mid-route, and that set up a very easy INT for Lenoir. Of course, this resulted in Mahomes' 8th INT on the frickin' season, but I'm not sure how Mahomes could have seen into the future to see Worthy falling down after he threw the ball, so that's a big ol' oh well, I guess. It is what it is, basically. That set up the 49ers deep in Chiefs territory. Purdy then scrambled on 3rd and 10, getting 9, and a sneak on 4th down moved the chains. Chiefs defense was pretty much reeling. I mean, your back's up against the wall when a turnover like that happens. It's not ideal, and that set up short field position. Purdy ended up getting in himself on a sneak a couple plays later to make this a 2-point game, 12-14, and that remained a 2-point game after the Niners decided not to go for 2, opted instead for an extra point, and Carlson missed it, so it remained a 2-point game. The Chiefs then sadly went 3 and out after Mahomes took a chance to Kelsey down the field with Charvarius Ward, former Chief Charvarius Ward, on him tight in coverage. The reason why this was even a 3rd and 10 to begin with, by the way, is because Skyy Moore dropped a pass that would have made it 3rd and 1. Instead, 3rd and 10. Now, was it a perfect pass to Skyy? No. But was it catchable? Yes. And sadly, so far this season, Skyy Moore has done, nothing with the limited opportunities he's been giving in the receiving game. I'm honestly kind of tired of the whole thing, guys. He played 33 snaps on offense yesterday, and another goose egg. He actually has less receiving yards on the season than Patrick Mahomes and Wanya Morris, which is kind of sad, hilarious, depressing, all wrapped up into one. Less than ideal, to say the least, with a 2nd-round pick heading into his 3rd season with the team. For whatever reason, the ball just always seems to be out of reach or not catchable for the guy. And it's to the point where you might as well give one of the 3 practice squad receivers a shot, because what is it going to hurt? The answer is absolutely nothing. I do have some news to share on that in a bit, because it looks like we may see somebody elevated for this Sunday's game against the Raiders, which is only going to happen because of not great news in the wide receiver room. But let me get back to the game here. That was looking dicey at the moment, because after that 3 and out, the Niners were driving down the field looking to take the lead for the first time since they went up 3-0 in the first quarter. Jordan Mason had a huge run up to midfield. The most explosive run play Casey's defense has given up all season heading into this game. It was like 12 yards. Well, he ran for like 26. So record smashed, but it meant nothing by the end of the day. Mason kept chugging along with McDuffie making an incredible PBU on former Chief Chris Conley. That name's crazy. And then just when you thought San Fran was getting some momentum, there was miscommunication on the route, and Purdy ended up throwing the ball directly to Christian Roland Wallace, the undrafted rookie who was in for the injured Jaylen Watson. Watson went down twice in the second half. The first was believed to be cramping, and he ended up returning. But the second time, he went down, and he was in quite a bit of pain. You could see it on his face and just his body language as trainers were attending to him on the field. And it does not look good for Jaylen Watson. He was seen after the game in a walking boot with crutches, and the fear is he fractured his ankle. Andy Reid doesn't expect good news as they continue to do some testing. And that is quite the hit to the cornerback room, because honestly, Watson was playing exceptional through the first 7 weeks of the season. But hey, hats off to the undrafted rookie Roland Wallace on his first career INT, who actually got an interception before Trent McDuffie which is an insane stat, but it's true. Anyway, this really helped turn the tide of the game because Kansas City proceeded to march down the field after this INT, with Hunt busting off a run for 13 yards. Justin Watson caught his one and only pass of the day for 8 yards, but what a catch it was. Another rookie and Carson Steele started getting involved on this drive as well. Mahomes and Kelsey moved the chains in typical fashion on 3rd and 6, and then enter Vick Mahomes. He scrambled around Fred Warner on 2nd down, juking his way down the left sideline for 33 yards to get his team to the 4. Multiple unsuccessful plays, including an incompletion to Mecole Hardman that looked pretty similar to the Tom and Jerry Super Bowl winning play, the touchdown pass Mecole Hardman caught in overtime during Super Bowl 58. That was incomplete, and that set up a 4th and goal. Well, they went for it, and Mahomes stepped back, looked left, saw Kelsey covered, though he could have potentially thrown a touchdown pass on the right side to Kareem Hunt. You could see that here. But when Mahomes didn't like what he saw with Travis Kelsey, he saw an opening in the middle of the field and bolted to the end zone, trucking Mustafa into the ground for the score. I mean, what a hit. What a play, and what a touchdown drive. Mahomes said the dad bod helped in absorbing the hit and knocking Mustafa to the ground. It wasn't his intention. He was just trying to absorb the hit with his shoulder. But hey, dad bod is what a dad bod is, and that's why we have dad bod season shirts available on the merch store. Shameless plug. Anyway, that touchdown made it 21-12 at the top of the 4th quarter, and once again, San Francisco began driving the field. Chanel did have a nice pass breakup down the left sideline on Juszczyk, but Purdy found Kittle on 3rd down, and a Nazi holding penalty gave them another 5 for the first. Purdy then threw a bomb to Cowing down the right sideline, with Nazi biting a bit on the double move, and Cowing turned on the Jets to get San Francisco to the 10. Back-to-back Jordan Mason runs set up 3rd and goal at the 5, and when you need them most, the defense shows up and makes yet another play. George Karlaftis was one of them in particular. He hit McKivitz with a disgusting, despicable spin move, hitting Purdy as he threw, which led to Purdy's 3rd INT on the day. Rookie Jaden Hicks came down with that interception, by the way, and you really do love to see it. Another rookie making another play. Nobody on the other side loved seeing Purdy throw into double coverage like that, though. A ball he probably should have never thrown. I mean, you would still have 4th down if you threw it away, but who cares? Because this gave the Chiefs a football back with roughly 8 minutes to go in the 4th, up by 9. They proceeded to go 12 plays on this drive, grinding away at the 49ers defense with multiple runs from Kareem Hunt and Carson Steele. Then on 3rd and 8, Mahomes found his ever-trusty sidekick in Noah Gray for 9 yards to keep the chains moving as well as the game clock. It was getting desperate for the 49ers, who began using timeouts as there was only 4 minutes to go. And the stop on this 3rd down here could give them a little bit of a chance to try and make a comeback. But a brilliant play call on a rollout pass to P. Ryan went for 22 yards up to the 19. And this next play was not only the kill shot, but it was a brilliant freaking play call because you are fully expecting the Chiefs to run up the gut to drain more clock. But instead, they give Mecole Hardman another jet sweep that fooled everybody, and Mecole raced up the left sideline with Jody Fortson helping him barrel his way in for the score. And that was the Chiefs' 4th touchdown of the day. This had the Chiefs up 28-12 with 3 minutes to go, and while Purdy ended up scoring a touchdown with 1 minute left, they had a little bit of a nice drive there with the Chiefs defense playing prevent. The onside kick was horrible, and that was all she wrote in this one. Shanahan fell to 0-5 against his father, Andy Reid, dipping below 500 on the season, while the Chiefs moved to 6-0. They have a 2-game lead over every other team in the AFC, and after the Vikings lost a tough one to the Lions, the Chiefs are now the sole remaining unbeaten team. And I'll dive into KC's next game against the Raiders later this week. But just know that Aidan O'Connell took over for Gardner Minshew recently as the starting quarterback. He fractured his thumb in Vegas's loss to the Rams yesterday and will be placed on IR. Then, obviously, they just lost Devontae Adams after trading him to the Jets. So the Raiders are really going through it. And I find it hilarious, by the way, that the Raiders and the Jets are both 2-5. But hey, I digress about all that because for now, what a game the Chiefs just won against the Niners. Both Mahomes and Purdy played pretty poorly from a statistical perspective, throwing for a combined 5 interceptions. But KC once again held their opponent to virtually non-existent rushing yards outside of a couple of plays there for Mason. Justin Reid was all over the place, leading the team in tackles and snagging that early INT. McDuffie is him, blanketing people yet again. Two other rookies in Roland Wallace and Jaden Hicks caught the second and third interceptions, and then George Karlaftis was all over Purdy in crucial moments during this game. On special teams, Matt Araiza averaged almost 60 yards a punt in his 3 attempts. Mecole Hardman had that huge 55-yard return on top of 2 carries for 38 yards and a touchdown, as well as 1 catch for 17 more yards. That performance from Mecole, by the way, made him the first player since Nyheim Hines in 2020 to record at least 15 rushing yards, 15 receiving yards, and 50 or more return yards in a single game. A definite breakout game from Mecole. You love to see it. And then you got to give credit to Noah Gray, who caught 4 passes for 66 yards. Then, of course, Kareem Hunt had himself a day as well. He rushed for 2 scores and had a plethora of carries once again. He is arguably the most important signing the Chiefs have made since the season started, and he is looking incredible out there. Something else from an offensive standpoint that stood out to me was Jawan Taylor had 0 flags thrown on him in this game. Penalties seemingly played a role in killing several drives in the red zone this season, and there weren't many costly penalties in this game for KC's offense. They were an impressive 8 for 14 on third downs, just over 50%, but even more impressive, they were 4 for 5 in the red zone. They scored a touchdown 80% of the time. It was absolutely incredible. The red zone success, honestly, is the reason why my underdog pick'ems didn't hit. I went 4 of 5, choosing the higher on Butker's field goals, which is something he's done like every game. But you know what? I don't care. For the first time this season, he didn't have to attempt a single 3-pointer because the Chiefs kept putting up tutties. I'll take the L all day long if that means the Chiefs are going to get, 30-ish points a game, which is absolutely fantastic against a team with the defense as great as the Niners. Then, of course, shout out to the best defensive coordinator in the game because he plays a major role in limiting, stifling Shanahan's offense. I mean, he shut them down and basically held them to 12 points outside of that garbage time touchdown with a minute left. Yes, the Niners were banged up, multiple players injured, but the Chiefs are in the same boat, man. I don't even need to go into the injuries. You know them all, even though we're going to get to a couple new ones in a second. But losers make excuses. Winners make it happen. You know who the Chiefs are? A bunch of people that make it freaking happen. So while the win was incredible, okay, we just talked about it, but KC did not escape this game without some injuries and a couple I'm concerned about. I already mentioned it, but Andy Reid spoke with the media today and said, not only will Jaylen Watson be out for this Sunday's matchup against the Raiders, he has that fractured ankle, but so will wide receiver Juju Smith-Schuster with the hamstring. We'll get some further testing and hopefully some further updates regarding Jaylen Watson's, the severity of Jaylen Watson's ankle, because he could return. He's got a shot to return before the end of the season, but depending on the break, he could be out for the entirety of the season, which I would really hate to see. But the fact that they already ruled Juju Smith-Schuster out for this Sunday's game tells me the hamstring issue is at least somewhat serious, and he's going to need, a couple weeks of rest, maybe more. And that's why we should see a practice squad call-up this week in either Montrell Washington, Justin Ross, or Nico Remigio. Andy Reid said today they have a lot of trust in those 3 and feel good about them. They've talked about elevating one of those guys a little bit already, but he basically said, we'll see. That's what he always says. He wants to get with Veach on everything and chat through that this week. With that being said, the trade deadline is inching closer, and I'm sure Brett Veach is making calls everywhere and already has been making calls before the hamstring injury to Juju. Right now, the wide receiver room, it definitely needs help. Yeah, Jaylen Watson's injured, but I think you have enough defensive backs in that room to be able to make things happen, whether it's Najee Johnson, Roland Wallace. You've got some other guys that are options on the practice squad as well, but the wide receiver room is a legitimate concern. So I would be extremely surprised at this point in time if a move wasn't made for a receiver. Might not be a big splash trade for a big name guy, but somebody, right? Anyway, let me know your thoughts on the state of the Chiefs wide receiver room, as well as your most impressive standouts and concerns after this big old dub against the Niners. And until next time, let's go. Let's freaking go. How about those?